A shocking new study breaking down the hidden costs of electric vehicles. While far left activists champion EVs for refueling at the equivalent of just over $1 per gallon of gas, this study says that with the cost of federal subsidies and the burden on the electric grid, it's actually closer to over $17 per gallon. Russ Vought was director for the Office of Management and Budget under Trump and now serves as president for the Center for Renewing America, and he joins us now. So talk to us about those hidden costs.
Yeah, I mean, it's another example of your last segment of Bidenomics, of which the hidden subsidies of direct subsidies from the federal government, tax credits, but also regulations, higher CAFE standards. What they've essentially done under both Obama with a pause under us and now Biden is to really tighten those CAFE restrictions in such a way so that there's a massive subsidy that goes. And one way to look at it is, in the great study by our friends at Texas Public Policy Foundation, is to look at the cost per gallon, $17, but it's also equivalent of about $50,000 per vehicle. And so when you look at both the cost, the higher cost to purchase, and then the higher cost that's basically saying to the rest of the country, we're going to put the cost on you. Right. Not unlike higher spending, we're going to put the cost on you at the expense of those who are wealthy and those who are on the coastal elites that are more interested in buying these vehicles. That is essentially what the Biden administration is doing, and they're only going to increase it with some of the bills that have passed during his administration. Yeah,
it's such a great point. You know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talks about her, EV vehicle, and some middle-class family with kids are subsidizing it so she can have that and sort of virtue signal how green she is. It's also decimating our auto industry because we're sending all the wrong signals to them.
We are, and because of the CAFE standards, they have to produce electric vehicles, and these are fundamentally unprofitable vehicles. Yeah. And consumers are going to increasingly find that they are not a good deal when much of the charm fades from them. They realize they have to replace the battery, or that the infrastructure hasn't caught up to the fact that you can't go as far, or certain charging stations aren't there, or just the fact that it's going to put a lot of strain on the electrical grid. Yeah. I mean, it's about, that study has about $11,000 in socialized cost to the electrical grid per vehicle. Think about that when the Biden administration gets all the electrical vehicles in the market that they want. It's going to be an enormous cost.
You know, Russ, I have to believe there's some donor group that's making, or some, companies that are making a lot of money, that they're pushing this at the expense of all the rest of us.
Well, I think there are obviously, some of those who have invested heavily in renewable energy, but I think the liberal elites themselves, I think, why is it that the left pushes these relationships that are so connected to China? Mm-hmm. We see that just very personally with the Biden crime family, but I think, why is Secretary John Kerry so invested in many of these policies? He fought some of the restrictions against slave labor that was, as it pertains to the production of solar panels. All of these green energy policies, I think we're going to wake up in 5 years that it was one big con on the American people.
Absolutely. You talk about the human costs, the slave labor that's being used, little children in Africa. Absolutely. All of this is not good. Russ, we thank you for joining us and for reminding us about all these costs, the human costs and the costs on the American taxpayer for these policies. Thanks so much, Russ.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.